Hi, welcome to the second part of the mayoral candidate for Danieltown. We're going to have a question and answer by the citizens. So who would like to start? Sir, you're up. Stand on up and talk loudly.
Okay, if I heard right, that there's talk about staffing up and enlarging the town organization, that concerned me because I'm retired now and I have on a fixed income and I really don't want to see my taxes go up. But yet I understand that there's a meeting coming up here right shortly to talk about increasing taxes. What's your feelings? How are you going to keep the taxes down?
Eric, why don't you start?
Okay. So the way the taxes work is as the value goes up, the tax rate goes down because it maintains. So over the last, well, since 2006, your taxes have actually went down every year from Danieltown. If you read the Danieltown line, your taxes has went down every single year. This increase that you're talking about with this coming up is actually just moving that tax rate, not higher than it was, but back a little bit. Things cost more money, the contractors cost more money, everything costs more money, you know that if you go to the store. So this is moving it back up. We was over budget. By the time we ran the budget, we was over $5,000 last year's budget. So we have to increase that to make that level. That's the big increase that you're seeing. It's a big deal because we're a little town. And so it looks like a big percentage, but if you look at since 2006, your taxes have been going down. And on the Daniel portion, I got the other part. I get that part too. Mine went up too, double.
Scott?
So as I've gone around and as I've visited with a lot of you folks, one of the biggest concerns is taxes and fixed income. And all I can say about that is that if I'm elected as your mayor, I will do everything in my power to keep taxes as low as we possibly can keep them. Like Eric was saying, everything costs more money. Everything's on the increase, but you look at your county taxes, you look at the taxes that you pay on your gas bill, your water bill, your electric bill. I mean, we've been getting hit pretty hard with taxes. So that would definitely be a key issue and something that we would need to talk about and make sure that we have all of our best interest in mind. So.
Mike?
Jim, I don't think anybody's talking about, having a real large staff or anything, but I think we have been around long enough that we need a consistent place where you can take an application, or a consistent place where you have hours. That may mean building a building somewhere, a small building. It may mean renting a spot that already exists, but I do think we need the consistency of having standard hours where people can fill in it, can bring applications, etc. But I don't think any of us are talking about any kind of major staff up. So.
Next question. Sir, please stand up.
That's the hard part. Eric, you made a comment a few minutes ago, and I may have completely misunderstood it, but you seem to end it with, it doesn't do, or to paraphrase you, it doesn't do any good if your house is worth $2 million if you can't sell it. What were you talking about? I'm half deaf, so I probably missed it.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is your tax, your property tax. You're paying tax on $2 million. It doesn't do you any good to be worth $2 million unless you're going to sell. And so that was my point to that. Your taxes keep going up and up.
Okay. It's about taxes.
It's about taxes.
Okay.
Next question, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to direct this question to Eric, if I can.
Please stop. Get over here now.
I sat in the middle for a reason.
I let you off easy, Eric.
I know, thanks.
You're in the hot seat now. Anyway, Eric, you already maintain a full-time job, and I understand you work as a planner for the town, and you also manage the Blue Stakes, and that's a lot on your plate. I know there's been concern that some of the hours you turn into the town of Daniel are not possible working a full-time job as well. So I have two questions for you. The first question would be, why are you wanting to be mayor on top of all of this? And my second question would be, how is it even possible or feasible for you to do so?
Okay, so I think we answered the first question, why I wanted to be mayor, because we talked about that earlier, about these, we are at a pivotal point in the town, and it's very important that these decisions are made, and we're guided through that. Now, as far as the other thing, the Blue Stakes has been turned over. I don't do that anymore, because I just didn't have time. It became too much to do. Last time, and I don't do this a lot, I keep track of my hours, and then I go back and see, based on my wages, because I'm salary, what I made. I made $9.07 an hour for the time that I spend with the town. And so if you think that that's too much to pay me for what I do, I'd be glad to entertain that.
But that's a good question, because I'm not aware of that. So if you became mayor, you would keep your other job?
My full-time job, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I work for Central Utah Water, and I would keep that job. It has insurance.
As well as the planning?
And the planning?
The planning is, that is appointed by the mayor, so the councils, they have to decide who they want over that. That's why I'm there. They appointed me over that. I'm not hired to do that. They appointed me to do that. So that's up to the council to
May I
decide
ask
that.
who's doing the Blue Stakes now?
The water department's doing that now.
So who would that be?
What's that?
Who's doing the blue stick now?
So-
She just asked.
The water department, Shelley's taken over that end.
Okay, next question. Sir?
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, there was just an increase in wages, voted for increase in income for the board and the officers of the town. And again, I compared that because I know there was a vote to increase that as well as Heber City. It looked to me like those payouts were very close to the same, Heber having a much larger tax base than Daniel has, and of course industry being part of that tax base. So some of the questions here, I have a father-in-law, mother-in-law, Charlie, Diane, Tom, fixed income, very concerned about making things, we're going to help them if they need it, I'm just saying that. But my concern is here, some of our council members have said we're not going to take wages, others have said no, we're going to vote that in. Going forward, I'm a little concerned that we're paying these higher wages and maybe there's a limitation on the time, the question that was asked here. Mike, if you could elaborate just a little bit. I do have mixed feelings about this, and I'll get to the point. I watched all of you and Eric spend countless hours getting this town up and solid. It takes a lot of time, and certainly you need to be remunerated for that. How much time does it take, you think, going forward to do the job of mayor, and then how do you feel about the remuneration that the town is able to pay and how it affects people? And if the others want to comment, great.
Well, that varies greatly as far as the amount of time it takes. If you're getting sued and having to go to court a lot, or if you've got a major construction project going, then it's pretty much a full-time job. Fortunately, I'm retired, and so I've got time to go to court or go ask stupid questions about how you build a water tank or whatever, whatever it entails. I still think that there's a lot of volunteerism necessary, and looking forward, I think the mayor now is making about $20,000 a year. I'll take half of that. I'll ask them to cut that in half, or just send a check back to the town for that, because I think there still needs to be some volunteerism.
Okay, and if the others would like to answer that, that's a concern.
One more thought. I was talking about that with my youngest daughter who lives over in Colorado, and she said, well, Dad, you can't do it for nothing, because we had a mayor that did that, and then most of the people that are going to do the job unfortunately have jobs, and we said we couldn't get anybody to replace us because it sounded really greedy saying, you got to pay me to do this. That guy didn't get paid, so I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where to put the marker, but I still think we need a lot of volunteerism.
Others?
Scott?
Well, I didn't, first of all, I didn't even know the mayor got paid, to be honest. And I'm definitely not looking to be the mayor for the income, I'll tell you that right now. So Bridger does my taxes, and he'll let you know that I definitely don't think I need the money. But, I feel like, I think there needs to be a little bit of a compensation for the hours that you spend there, but I don't know that you need to be I don't know that you need to be paid for all the hours that you work either. I think part of getting involved in community and government is the service that you can provide to those around you, and so yeah, I'm definitely not looking for the income, I'll tell you that right now. So
Eric?
So, again, like I said, when I told up my hours on the planning end. Now, if you're on the council, you're getting $43 a month. That's what you're getting, so it's big bucks.
It's 53 if you take it.
53, okay. But I'm $10. So that's what you get for being on the council.
Can I still put in an application? I just don't know.
As far as planning goes, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. I'm in a lot of meetings, I burn up a lot of my vacation on my other job to attend these meetings. People from the state of Utah don't meet at 6 o'clock at night. That's not when they meet. It's vital for the town to have a voice at the table when that's going on. So I burn up my vacation and do a lot of that time. That's how I get there. Again, I don't know what's going to happen if I become mayor. They're probably looking at hiring a new planner. If you look around, Heber City has 2 planners. They're $100,000 a year each, full benefits. That's a big hit to this town from $9.07 an hour. I mean, that's a big deal. So there's a lot going on. It's continually as we go forward. I think that people have to be involved. And we do have a lot of people that donate time. If something goes down, there's a lot of people that show up and we have a lot of help, and it's awesome, and that's why it's such a great town.
Thank you for your answer and the service, appreciate it.
Next question. Sir?
Todd Bonner. I have 2 questions, actually. First one is for Mike. Question is, how will you rationalize having your wife on the council if you become mayor?
Well, I don't know that I have a rationalization for that, Sheriff. She waited to sign up for this job until I was fishing in Canada. I think she had some idea what my answer was going to be. And we walk our dog twice a day by Dan's house, and we end up talking about town stuff about half the time. I've been out of it for 8 years and kind of get my batteries recharged. Instead of standing on the outside of the circle and throwing rocks, I thought I might as well be involved. And if you know my wife very well, you know that she is a very smart, she has her opinions, and if she's got her mindset on something, then I'm not going to, nobody's going to change her mind, not even me, maybe even especially me. So,
Okay.
You almost need to bring that up with her.
And I will do that when I see her. The second question is for all 3 of you. And this is something that I've had a real issue with the past few years as I've watched. The current mayor has hired a secretary that does not live within the town of Daniel. Even though we have very qualified people that would probably be willing to work for a lower wage than what this person's getting, I just want to know how each one of you feel about going outside the town of Daniel to hire staff members.
Eric, why don't you start that one?
Okay, I don't know if I should. She is awesome. So Mary Snyder is our clerk. She is awesome. She doesn't live in the town, but she lives in Daniel. So right there on the road going by. We also rent a small office in the insurance place that she has. So she can man the phones. She's there all day. Applications, whatever, any questions people have, she's there to answer those things. She is super awesome, super efficient, and I even though we may have somebody else, the applications went out and nobody put in an application. That was the application that came back. So who do you choose from?
Well, just to add, she's not a Daniel resident.
Right.
That's Heber City where she lives. The second part to that is no one knew it was being advertised. That's the problem.
Yeah. How did she know?
So it gets put out on the website and it ran in the paper. So those were the 2 things. This is going to become a big issue. The state legislature met, and guess what? You don't have to do anymore. run anything in the paper. It goes on the website. That's the new requirement.
Okay, but, and I'm not trying to start an argument here, but it's no different than your wife taking over Blue States. Nothing's talked about, Eric.
Oh,
How are you gonna deal with that as a mayor?
Again, she stepped up when the other
Because it's not talked about. There's no communication.
applications went out. There was interviews of 7 people.
No applications went
For
out.
Blue
Yes,
State?
they did.
For
They
Blue
absolutely, not for Blue States, for the secretary.
No,
They
blue
didn't.
sticks, what happened
The
there?
secretary they did.
That just,
Stepped on
the
it.
council
Yes.
turned it over to Shelley. I says, I'm too busy, I don't have time to do it. They asked her to do it. The same way she became the secretary, they asked her to do it. The council's the one that hires that. I have nothing to do with this.
Okay. Scott?
Scott?
So as the new guy, I'll just call myself the new guy, running for mayor, I think these are definitely issues that we need to take a look at. And I feel like that there are people right here in the town of Daniel that are qualified to have these jobs. And if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, people will know of the positions available, and there won't be anything done in secret, so to speak, like I'm hearing. If we're communicating, if we're doing our part and we're getting the information out, we should see people that are qualified right here in the town of Daniel wanting to fill those positions, and we should fill those positions with those people.
Mike?
Well, I've been out of it for a while, so I want to be the new guy too. I wasn't involved in that application process, so I really don't even know how many people applied, or I'm sure they did it legally. And again, it's tough to get the word out. It's tougher than you think, but obviously you reevaluate that when you come into the job. You reevaluate everybody in every position and see if you can't make some upgrades.
Next question, John?
I'd like to make a comment on that, John Godowski. A lot of this is, like I say, it's been volunteerism, and when some of these problems, or whatever you want to call them, come up to us in front of the council, if somebody's volunteering to do the job and they can do it, we're used to doing it, I mean, yeah, please do it.
Do you have a question for these
As
guys?
far as the question, on all the legal matters that have come up through the years and what we're foreseeing, Eric, you seem to have a lot of sense on these different issues, and also Mike has had some experience in these issues. In your opinion, do you save the town substantial lot of monies from going through or partially understanding some of these issues that come up, the legal issues and spot stuff, and saving the town money?
Is that directed at me?
And Mike,
Yeah,
I think too.
Yeah,
Mike?
Mike.
Well, those of you that were here, almost as soon as we incorporated, we got sued by a developer that came and was going to build the town of Aspen up on top of the valley. So we were in court for the next 4 years, every place from the 4th District to the Utah Supreme Court. I was sued personally in my capacity as mayor and as an individual in federal court. So, I mean, we've been to court, I didn't count the times, but at least 20 times in different circumstances. I never thought I'd be in a court of law again, and I never thought I'd read a 50 or 60 page legal brief. But again, to your question, Mary and I both got pretty good at reading legal briefs and say, hey, what does this say right here, and go and look it up. I think once again, it's easy to do these jobs, it's hard to do them well. state constitution and code was on my favorites. That's kind of embarrassing, but you know, on there, I mean, you're on there 5 or 6 times a week, and you're printing out code and reading it. And I don't think it's realistic to just turn to an attorney. And I've seen the committee governances, the local ones in the county, et cetera, and they turn to the attorney and say, "What's our answer on that?" And he says 7. And they go, "Okay." That's not really good enough. I mean, this job, you should be reading the code, you should be reading case law, and you should know as much about, if we're talking about water bottles, I'm not going to become an attorney, but I can read every bit of code with regard to water bottles and understand it as well as my attorney. And I think that's part of this job.
Eric?
I think the same thing. We have good attorneys. They have a good name. There's been several issues that come up, and it's like, I don't see it that way in all my training with the leads of cities and towns. This issue I see this way. And so I'm able to communicate with them and bring that back around. We're still in court. We have active cases going right now. Yesterday we had one at 3 o'clock that got canceled because the court was backed up. We have these issues as code comes up, and we are trying to enforce those codes and maintain what we're talking about here tonight. It costs money. Lawyers are hundreds of dollars an hour. So I think we do save a lot of money by being able to go through those. But I'm not here to try and scare anybody out of trying to be the mayor. It's just, let's not scare him because he ran. So, I mean, it's a lot of work. And Scott's a great guy. I've worked with him before out on other projects, and I think that it's just part of the job. It's a learning curve. I didn't know anything about it when I started either.
Scott, would you like to say anything?
Well, all I'll say to this is that, you know, I'm willing to put the time and the effort in to learn what I need to learn. I'm a capable individual. I like to think I'm pretty smart. I can go back and do some studying and put the time in that needs to be put in to run the mayor.
Great, thank you.
Really quick question.
Quick question.
Yeah. Are you retired, Scott? I didn't.
I'm not retired. I still work. I enjoy working. I love putting my tool bags on. I employ 3 people right now, and myself. I like to be self-employed. I've been self-employed my whole life, and I only have one boss, my wife, and she tells me whether I work or not. So
I was just confused. I wasn't sure if you were retired or not.
Okay, great. One
last
quick question.
So I know we've had a lot of discussion about, you know, keeping taxes low, keeping the R5, you know, where it's at, and also a lot of the legal pressures that I think, you know, everybody's aware we're going to face for that. Whoever the mayor is, we can put our, you know, roll our sleeves up and dig, but you're still going to need to, you know, consult attorneys and get a lot of legal fees going at times. What are each of your guys' thoughts on the commercial aspect of taxes to kind of help offset some of that? I know we've recently seen some of our newer developments, you know, in the commercial aspect within the town that hasn't really happened for a long time. And those typically bring some higher tax rates with us that can kind of help to offset that. So I'd love to hear some thoughts.
Hang on a sec. You've got a yes, yes, no answer on this, and we're going to have to wrap it up. I hate to do that to you. Or should we just say that's a great question, we're going to need to talk about that in the future?
That's not a yes or no question.
Yeah,
Right. I'm so sorry, we're out of time. I'm so sorry. Thanks for coming.
Email.
And Mike Duggin, Scott Kohler, EricBunker. I am so sorry. Have a good night. Thank you.